Ellen DeGeneres went from being one of the most protected and celebrated names on TV to landing in the middle of a major public backlash almost overnight. The downfall was tough to watch unfold in real time. For nearly 2 decades, she carefully built a reputation as one of the nicest and most generous people in entertainment. But when people started looking back, a different picture began to emerge. With everything that later came to light, some moments that once seemed harmless suddenly felt a lot more uncomfortable. The warning signs were there for years, but they often slipped under the radar because the public image was so polished and carefully managed. One of the biggest red flags came during her interview with Mariah Carey, when the conversation crossed into deeply personal territory and became far more intrusive than many viewers expected from a daytime talk show.
Have some champagne. It's just fattening. So,
you can't have champagne?
That's not champagne because you can't.
No, it is.
Is it really?
Yeah, you want to taste it?
I can't believe you did this to me, Ellen.
What? No,
Are you trying
I'm not going to ask you if you're pregnant or not.
This is peer pressure.
Say.
You see what Ellen is doing? This is peer pressure.
Let's toast to you not being pregnant. If you're not pregnant, then we should.
My goodness.
This interview took place back in 2008, years before the public began seriously questioning Ellen's behavior or looking at her on-screen moments through a different lens. Mariah Carey appeared on the show expecting a relaxed and entertaining conversation, just like the kind of interviews many celebrity guests were getting at the time. But things quickly took an uncomfortable turn. Ellen repeatedly pressed Mariah about ongoing pregnancy rumors right in front of a live studio audience. Looking back at the footage today, the tension is hard to miss. What may have been presented as light-hearted banter felt much more intense to many viewers. Mariah appeared to be put in a difficult position, facing personal questions on live television, with cameras rolling and the audience reacting to every moment. Rather than a casual chat, the exchange left many people feeling that the pressure was impossible to ignore. That wasn't just a harmless comedy segment or a playful joke. Many viewers felt it placed Mariah in an unfair and deeply uncomfortable situation that she had not expected when she agreed to appear on the show. What makes the clip even more difficult to watch today is what happened afterward. Mariah later revealed that she sadly lost the pregnancy not long after the interview aired. With that context, the exchange takes on a much heavier meaning. When she spoke publicly about the experience years later, it was clear the moment had stayed with her for a long time. During an interview with Larry King, she appeared emotional as she described how uncomfortable and upsetting the entire situation had been.
The other thing is that people are saying that that you're pregnant. There's rumors.
Don't discuss that.
All right. Well, you don't have to.
No,
answer.
that's okay. No, honestly,
you don't have to answer me. Let's just toast with champagne and decide.
But they've been saying that since we.
The pain didn't just fade away with time. According to Mariah's own comments, the experience stayed with her for years and continued to affect how she looked back on that moment. In a 2020 interview, she finally addressed it directly, saying, "I was extremely uncomfortable with that moment. I really have had a hard time grappling with the aftermath." That quote speaks volumes. It shows that this wasn't simply an awkward television exchange that disappeared from people's memories. For her, it was a moment that carried real emotional weight long after the cameras stopped rolling. That's one reason the interview continues to be discussed today. Looking back, it raises questions about a public image that was built around kindness, positivity, and making people feel comfortable. For some viewers, moments like this seemed out of step with that reputation and sparked debate about what was really happening behind the scenes. Beneath the smiles, jokes, and dancing, some people now believe there were early signs that all was not as perfect as it appeared. Ellen spent years working her way through comedy clubs before finally breaking into the mainstream entertainment world. After building a name for herself as a stand-up comedian, she eventually landed her own sitcom and became a rising star in television. In 1997, during the height of that early success, she made a major personal announcement by coming out publicly. At the time, very few high-profile stars were openly doing that, making it a significant and widely discussed moment. Many people praised her honesty and viewed it as a bold step forward for representation in entertainment. But the period that followed was far from easy. Her sitcom experienced a noticeable decline in ratings and the series was eventually cancelled. She later returned with another sitcom hoping to rebuild momentum, but that project struggled to find the same audience. Over time, her presence in the spotlight became much smaller, and for a while it seemed like her biggest success might already be behind her. Then came a major turning point in 2003 when she voiced Dory in Finding Nemo. The role fit her public image perfectly. Dory's upbeat, cheerful, and endlessly optimistic personality connected with audiences everywhere. More than just a voice acting job, the character helped reinforce the friendly, positive persona that would soon become a huge part of Ellen's brand and set the stage for an even bigger comeback. It quickly became the foundation of her public image moving forward. That same year, she launched The Ellen DeGeneres Show, and almost overnight, she was back at the center of daytime television. Her comeback was hard to ignore, and audiences embraced the upbeat style that set her apart from many other talk shows of the era. While programs like The Jerry Springer Show were known for conflict, shocking confrontations, and non-stop drama, Ellen's show offered something completely different. She projected a cheerful, playful, and approachable personality that made her seem relatable to everyday viewers at home. That friendly image became a major part of her success and helped turn her into one of the biggest names in daytime TV.
Your boyfriend Zac Efron last time.
No, I haven't talked to him in a while because we didn't date.
Yes, you did. Why do you deny it?
Because we didn't.
Oh, okay. So, which song is about Zac on the new CD?
There's nothing really about Zac on the CD because we didn't date.
All right.
So,
Yeah.
Okay. Here's what I'll do. You don't have to say. I'm going to show pictures. Here's a bell, and you ring it.
I don't know if I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, you will.
This is the one thing that I have. It's like the one shred of dignity that I have is I know that.
What do you mean one shred of dignity?
I'm
You're
just
filled with
not gonna-
dignity. Ring it on 3 different guys. We'll narrow it down. So ring it 3 different times. You're supposed to ring
But
one.
I don't want to. I don't want to.
All right,
What are you doing? Stop it.
People often described Ellen's style as upbeat and energetic, almost like someone who was constantly excited and eager to keep the conversation moving. She came across as friendly, positive, and easy to watch, making her a familiar presence for millions of viewers during their afternoon routines. And for a long time, that formula worked extremely well. For nearly 2 decades, audiences embraced the polished image she presented on screen. The show became a daytime television powerhouse, and few people openly questioned the brand she had built around kindness and positivity. But behind that cheerful on-camera energy, some moments sparked criticism over the years. Mariah Carey's interview wasn't the only exchange that later drew attention. There were several instances where viewers felt Ellen's jokes or teasing pushed conversations into uncomfortable territory. In some cases, interactions that appeared playful to some people came across as awkward or dismissive to others. Even a few exchanges involving translators and other guests later became subjects of debate and discussion. One clip that gained renewed attention years later showed Ellen interrupting a translator before they could finish speaking, then continuing the exchange as the situation grew noticeably more uncomfortable on camera. For some viewers, what may have started as an attempt at humor no longer felt like a joke. Instead, it came across as dismissive towards someone who was simply trying to do their job. At the time, moments like that were often brushed aside. Most episodes still featured big giveaways, emotional surprises, celebrity appearances, and the upbeat positivity that had become the show's signature. Whenever an awkward interaction happened, many viewers simply assumed it was an isolated incident and moved on without thinking much about it. But for the people involved in those exchanges, the experience could feel very different. Sitting across from one of the most influential figures in daytime television, with cameras rolling and a studio audience watching, isn't exactly an easy position to be in. Speaking up in the moment could carry risks, especially when every reaction might end up becoming a headline or a topic of discussion across entertainment media the very next day. For years, many people felt that the power imbalance on the show made it difficult for guests to push back when an interaction became uncomfortable. With Ellen holding such a dominant position in daytime television, challenging the tone of an interview wasn't always easy. One notable example that often gets brought up involves Taylor Swift. During several of her early appearances, Ellen frequently joked with her about personal topics, teased her on air, and put her in situations that were designed to get laughs from the audience. While some viewers saw it as harmless fun, others felt the jokes occasionally placed Taylor in awkward positions. Then came a surprising twist. Taylor later appeared on the show with Zac Efron, and the pair performed a playful song that included light-hearted jokes about Ellen herself. On the surface, it was all in good fun, but many fans noticed the role reversal. For once, Ellen was the one being teased instead of directing the jokes at someone else. Some viewers even pointed to her reactions as signs that she wasn't entirely comfortable being the target of the bit. The discussion didn't stop there. On a later appearance, the conversation once again shifted toward one of the topics Taylor was frequently asked about at the time, her dating life, which would go on to become another widely discussed moment from the show. One of the most talked about moments involved a game segment that focused heavily on Taylor Swift's dating life. During the exchange, Taylor repeatedly expressed that she preferred to keep that part of her personal life private. Watching the clip back today, many viewers point to her reactions and comments as signs that she was becoming increasingly uncomfortable with where the conversation was heading. Despite those concerns, the segment continued and it quickly became a source of debate among fans. Some people viewed it as standard talk show teasing, while others felt it crossed a line by repeatedly focusing on a topic Taylor had indicated she did not want to discuss. The contrast between the playful tone of the segment and Taylor's visible discomfort is one reason the moment continues to be revisited years later. As more clips from different interviews resurfaced, critics began arguing that these incidents formed a larger pattern. The carefully maintained public image that had defined Ellen's career started facing greater scrutiny, and conversations about her interviewing style became more common. It wasn't only celebrity guests who became part of these discussions either. In some episodes, regular audience members were pulled into jokes and surprise segments, including one memorable setup involving a giveaway where attendees were instructed to take just a single item from a display table. Sounds like a simple rule to follow, right? But the situation turned into something much more surprising. The segment was set up to see whether audience members would stick to the instructions. When one woman took an extra item for her sister at home, the show revealed hidden camera footage and replayed the moment in front of the entire studio audience. What may have seemed like a harmless decision suddenly became a source of public embarrassment for someone who had simply come to enjoy a day at a television taping. Moments like this caused some viewers to take a closer look at the show's style and question whether certain jokes and surprises sometimes came at other people's expense.
One dog, actually, she's pregnant. I have two dogs, both
Well, her
Jack
master
Russells.
isn't.
Her master, well, let me take some of the vodka next to me.
Why aren't you answering?
Ellen did that to me and tried to put me on the spot
All right.
with some alcohol.
Okay.
Real alcohol.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
Because when people started looking more closely, some moments didn't always match the warm and welcoming image viewers had come to expect. As criticism grew, attention shifted to other segments that some audience members felt went too far. Rather than simply joking about a mistake, certain bits involved putting people in the spotlight in ways that left them visibly uncomfortable. In one instance, a guest made what appeared to be a relatively minor error. As part of the show's joke, they were directed to sit in an area Ellen referred to as a prison section, positioned where the audience could clearly see them. For some viewers, the segment felt less like light-hearted teasing and more like public embarrassment over a small mistake. Looking back, moments like these became part of a broader conversation about where the line between comedy and discomfort should be drawn. Here's where the criticism became even more interesting. According to some viewers, it wasn't always people who broke rules or made mistakes who ended up being the target of a joke on the show.
Going through a tough time financially.
It's just hard with 4 kids.
Why don't I just give you every single thing we gave away on all 12 days?
In one widely discussed moment, a fan submitted a painting they had created of Ellen and her wife as a supportive gesture. Rather than simply thanking the fan and moving on, the artwork became part of an on-air comedy segment. While the intent may have been humor, some viewers felt the joke came at the fans' expense and turned what could have been a heartfelt moment into an embarrassing one. Critics also pointed to interactions with celebrity guests as examples of moments where the tone seemed to shift. One frequently mentioned case involved Ricky Gervais during a trivia-style game segment. As the competition unfolded, some viewers believed the atmosphere became noticeably more tense, leading fans to closely analyze Ellen's reactions and speculate about how she handled being challenged during the exchange. During the segment, Ricky Gervais appeared quick-witted and comfortable with the back-and-forth banter, which many viewers found entertaining. As the game continued, some fans believed they noticed signs of frustration or tension in Ellen's reactions, though interpretations of the moment varied depending on who was watching. Because the audience seemed to enjoy the exchange, the clip remained a popular topic of discussion long afterward. Over time, moments like this didn't remain isolated clips buried online. Critics and viewers began connecting different interviews, game segments, and guest interactions, arguing that they revealed a broader pattern. As more people revisited older episodes, conversations about Ellen's on-screen behavior became increasingly common both among fans and within entertainment media. By that point, some observers were questioning whether the friendly image audiences had come to know fully matched what was happening during certain interactions on the show. Looking back, many of the moments that would later spark debate were already available for anyone willing to watch closely. By the late 2000s, some viewers felt the first visible cracks in that carefully crafted image were already beginning to appear. On the surface, the show was still successful and continued attracting solid ratings. But for many longtime viewers, something felt different compared to its earlier years. The energy that once made the program feel fresh and exciting seemed to be changing, and some fans began noticing subtle shifts in how the show was presented. Ellen wasn't appearing in quite the same way she had during the show's peak years. guest hosts filled in more often, and critics argued that certain episodes felt increasingly repetitive or formula-driven. Whether fair or not, there was a growing perception among some viewers that the spark that had helped make the show a daytime television powerhouse was beginning to fade. At the same time, the public image Ellen had spent years building faced more scrutiny than ever before. Jokes that once seemed playful were now being viewed through a different lens. When a segment didn't land as intended, some audience members felt it came across as awkward rather than funny. One of the most talked about turning points involved her interview with Dakota Johnson. During the exchange, Ellen jokingly suggested she had not been invited to Dakota's birthday party, seemingly expecting a light-hearted laugh. What happened next, however, quickly became one of the show's most widely shared and discussed moments. Dakota, however, was prepared for the comment and responded immediately. Instead of playing along with the joke, she calmly corrected the record and stated that Ellen had in fact been invited to the birthday party. She then pointed out that the invitation had been extended, but Ellen had chosen not to attend. The unexpected response instantly shifted the mood of the exchange and caught many viewers by surprise.
For the show, I put out some Ellen products with a sign that said only one per person, and I just wanted to see how honest my audience was, you know? But we set up hidden cameras just to make sure. I mean, any of you could have taken more than one thing, and you didn't, except for these ladies right here. Listen, I really, I'm sorry. That's embarrassing and everything, but, you know, let that be a lesson to you, because you think...
It is.
You think nobody's watching you and you just need to be a good person just because you want to be a good person. You go sit in that Ellen jail over there right now.
Just like that, the entire exchange took an unexpected turn. Many viewers felt Ellen appeared genuinely surprised by Dakota's response, creating a rare on-air moment where the usual dynamic was suddenly reversed. The clip quickly spread across social media in 2019 and became one of the most widely discussed segments from the show. What made it so memorable wasn't simply that Ellen was corrected on camera, it was that audiences got to see a conversation unfold in a way they weren't accustomed to seeing. For critics, the moment highlighted how differently an interview could play out when a guest challenged the premise of a joke rather than going along with it. The viral attention fueled broader discussions about Ellen's interviewing style and public image, which were already facing increased scrutiny. By the time 2020 arrived, the show was dealing with declining viewership challenges, and the arrival of pandemic lockdowns created even more obstacles for daytime television formats across the industry. The show's format faced major challenges during the pandemic. Without a live studio audience, the energy that had defined the program for years felt very different, and remote interviews didn't always create the same connection that viewers were used to seeing. But the bigger issue for Ellen's public image wasn't the lockdown itself, it was the reaction some people had to her comments and social media posts during that period. Like many celebrities, she began filming videos from home and sharing them with fans. However, some viewers felt those messages highlighted a growing disconnect between celebrity lifestyles and the experiences of everyday people dealing with difficult circumstances. One moment in particular drew significant criticism. Ellen compared being in lockdown to being in prison while broadcasting from her large California home. The remark sparked backlash, with many people arguing that the comparison felt tone-deaf, given the realities many families were facing at the time. For critics, it became another example of a gap between her public image and how she was being perceived by audiences. By then, questions about her off-camera behavior were already circulating in entertainment circles. Rumors and stories had existed for years, but they had never fully broken into the mainstream conversation. That changed dramatically in 2020 when comedian Kevin T. Porter posted a message on Twitter encouraging people to share their experiences and opinions about Ellen publicly, setting off a wave of discussion that quickly spread across social media. He promised to donate to charity for every legitimate response he received. What happened next caught a lot of people by surprise. Within hours, thousands of replies began pouring in, and the conversation quickly spread far beyond a single social media post. Reports estimate that more than 2,600 responses were submitted, with new comments continuing to appear as the discussion gained momentum. At that point, it was no longer being framed as just a handful of unhappy former employees sharing complaints. Instead, it became a much larger public conversation involving a wide range of people who claimed to have had interactions with Ellen or her workplace over the years. The sheer volume of responses drew significant media attention and prompted many outlets to take a closer look at the allegations being shared online. Many of the stories contained similar claims, which is one reason they attracted so much interest. Some people alleged that staff were discouraged from interacting with her in certain situations, while others claimed she could be distant or unapproachable behind the scenes. There were also allegations that her demeanor around employees and audience members differed from the warm personality viewers saw on television. These claims remained allegations, but the repeated themes appearing across numerous accounts made the controversy increasingly difficult for the public to ignore. One story that received a lot of attention involved a waitress who claimed to have served Ellen and her wife at a restaurant. According to the account, Ellen allegedly complained about the waitress's chipped nail polish, and the waitress later said she lost her job after a complaint was made. The details of that story have been disputed and were never fully verified, but stories like it continued to circulate and became part of the larger controversy surrounding Ellen's public image. Whether accurate, exaggerated, or somewhere in between, these accounts added to a growing conversation that was already gaining momentum. As more stories surfaced, public interest intensified, and people began revisiting older reports and rumors that had previously received less attention. The discussion expanded even further when allegations emerged from individuals who had worked on the Ellen DeGeneres show in various roles. Multiple reports described concerns about the workplace culture, including claims of unfair treatment and a difficult work environment. Those allegations would soon become the center of a much larger controversy that reached far beyond social media.
Turned 30.
I did.
And how was the party? I wasn't invited.
Actually, no, that's not the truth, Ellen. You were invited. Last time I was on the show, last year, you gave me a bunch of about not inviting you, but I didn't even know you wanted to be invited.
Well, who doesn't want to be invited to a party?
Well, I didn't even know you liked me.
The allegations covered a wide range of concerns. Some former employees claimed they experienced discrimination or unequal treatment, while others alleged that speaking up about workplace issues could lead to negative consequences. There were also reports from individuals who said they faced difficulties after taking time off for personal or health-related reasons. These claims painted a picture that looked very different from the upbeat atmosphere viewers saw on television each afternoon. As the story gained traction in major news outlets, the conversation expanded rapidly. Rumors and concerns that had circulated privately for years were suddenly being discussed in public, reaching audiences far beyond Hollywood industry circles. What had once been dismissed as speculation was now the subject of widespread media coverage and public debate. In the months that followed, formal investigations and detailed reports brought even more attention to allegations involving the show's workplace culture. For years, Ellen's reputation for kindness had been one of the strongest parts of her public identity. But once that image came under serious scrutiny, critics argued that the contrast between the brand and the allegations became impossible to ignore. The very reputation that had helped protect her from criticism was now being examined more closely than ever before. Once public confidence in that central image began to fade, the fallout accelerated quickly. The controversy had become so widespread that every new headline seemed to add more pressure. Although the Ellen DeGeneres show continued for one final season, many viewers felt the program was already nearing the end of its run. Eventually, the show officially concluded, bringing an end to a daytime television powerhouse that had dominated the genre for nearly 20 years. Looking back at the full story, one of the biggest questions people continue to ask is how these concerns remained beneath the surface for so long. A major factor, according to many observers, was the influence that comes with enormous success. In entertainment, powerful figures often have large teams, strong industry connections, and public goodwill that can make criticism slower to gain traction. The situation also sparked broader conversations about celebrity culture and public image. It highlighted how a carefully crafted reputation can sometimes shape the way people interpret events for years. Ellen's brand was built around kindness, generosity, and positivity, which made later allegations and criticism feel especially jarring to many viewers. While supporters and critics continued to debate different aspects of her legacy, the controversy became a striking example of how quickly public perception can change once long-standing narratives begin to face serious scrutiny. She also wasn't the only high-profile television personality to face criticism about how people were treated behind the scenes. In recent years, other major figures, including James Corden, have been the subject of public complaints and negative accounts from former staff, guests, or industry insiders. Because of that, many observers began viewing these controversies as part of a broader discussion about workplace culture and power dynamics in entertainment, rather than focusing on just one individual case alone.
phony, hypocrite, liar. That's what she is. This environment, this toxic culture that she created in the office has been going on for 16 years.
2018, Dana DiMatteo flew from Chicago to Los Angeles and was delighted to be picked out of the audience to have some fun with Ellen. But then she says she was shocked when she was briefed on the comedy bit by the producers.
They tell you, you can't be smarter, funnier than Ellen. She's the comedian and the star, not you.
She emailed the owner of the restaurant and complained about your chip nail polish.
What?
And I was like...
At one point, Ellen even joked, "Yeah, because I'm mean. No mean people in show business." That line grabbed attention because it reflected how she chose to respond to much of the criticism that followed. In her stand-up material and several interviews after the controversy, she often suggested that some of the backlash had been exaggerated or that the public perception of her had become unfairly negative. That approach sparked even more debate. For many viewers, it didn't fully address the large number of allegations and stories that had already been discussed publicly. As a result, opinions remained sharply divided about how she handled the fallout. At the same time, many celebrities who appeared on her show over the years were navigating their own professional realities. Most guests were there to promote a project, a new film, an album, a television series, or another major release. That dynamic often made talk show appearances an important part of their publicity efforts, adding another layer to the conversations surrounding guest interactions and on-air moments. For many guests, speaking up in the middle of an interview wasn't always a simple choice. Public appearances often came with professional considerations, and creating a viral confrontation could easily shift attention away from the project they were there to promote. Because of that, some people chose to avoid conflict, even if they felt uneasy about a particular interaction. Audience members faced a different challenge. Unlike celebrities, they generally didn't have the same level of public visibility or media reach. Even if someone felt uncomfortable and wanted to share their experience, there was no guarantee their perspective would gain wider attention. That imbalance is one reason these discussions continued to resonate long after the show ended.
I got kicked out of show business. Yeah, because I'm mean. No mean people in show business.
For employees working behind the scenes, the situation could be even more complicated. Their jobs, professional relationships, and future opportunities often depended on remaining in good standing within the production. Critics of the workplace culture argued that environments like this can make it difficult for concerns to be raised openly, allowing problems to persist for long periods without receiving significant public attention. Even in 2026, Ellen has not disappeared from public life. While her daytime talk show has ended, she remains a prominent and financially successful figure with strong connections in the entertainment world. In recent years, she has devoted significant attention to real estate projects, including the buying and selling of luxury properties and high-profile homes alongside other well-known figures. So although the Ellen DeGeneres show is no longer on the air, the larger questions raised by the controversy continue to be discussed. For many observers, the story became part of a broader conversation about workplace culture, power, accountability, and how influential public figures are perceived both on and off camera. That's one reason this story continues to stand out long after the headlines faded. It isn't only about the rise and decline of one of television's most recognizable personalities. For many people, it became a case study in how a public image can remain incredibly powerful, even while criticism and uncomfortable stories slowly build beneath the surface for years. Looking back, the bigger question isn't necessarily about any single incident. Instead, it's about how long it can take for audiences, media outlets, and industry insiders to reassess a reputation that has been reinforced over decades. Once a public figure becomes strongly associated with a specific identity, that perception can be remarkably difficult to challenge. Perhaps the most striking lesson from the entire controversy is the influence of branding itself.
The Ellen situation.
Yeah.
People found out that Ellen was mean, and all these people came out and said, Ellen's actually a bitch. And then we're like, whoa,
Yeah.
can't believe it. And she lost everything. She fell apart, disappeared, because people found out that this character that she was portraying in a half an hour on a television show is not really who she was. My buddy Greg, who was one of her writers, was like, she's a piece of shit. And he was like, she's a...
Ellen's reputation for kindness and positivity wasn't built overnight. It was shaped carefully through thousands of television segments, interviews, giveaways, and public appearances over nearly 20 years. Whether people view that image as genuine, incomplete, or misunderstood, the story remains a powerful example of how influential a carefully crafted public persona can become, and how dramatically public opinion can shift once that image comes under scrutiny. When a public image that has been built over many years starts to crack, the fallout can be dramatic and happen much faster than anyone expects. In Ellen's case, many people felt they were watching a major shift in public perception unfold in real time during 2020. A reputation that had been carefully cultivated for nearly 2 decades suddenly faced intense scrutiny from every direction, turning into one of the biggest entertainment controversies of the year. The debate surrounding her legacy continues even now. Some people believe the criticism and consequences were justified based on the allegations and reports that emerged, while others argue that public reactions eventually became excessive as the story gained momentum online. What do you think? Did Ellen deserve the backlash she faced, or did the public response go too far once the controversy started snowballing? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next one.